Hey guys, welcome or welcome back to Garage Gossip. Welcome to today's episode. I'm your host, Mara, and yeah, let's chat all about the Mexico City Grand Prix weekend. But before we get into this episode, I just want to remind y'all, if y'all are listening to this episode or y'all are watching this episode and you're like, maybe being a co-host on this super fun podcast is something that I want to do, I just want to remind y'all that I'm still looking for a second host to this podcast. The application form will be linked in the description of this episode. It's also linked on my Instagram if that's easier for y'all. It's also linked on my TikTok if that's easier. It's open till the end of the season. At the end of the season, Formula One season, I will look through them, maybe pick out a few people that I want to have a chat with, see if our dynamics match, and then I will decide who will be the co-host starting from season 4 of Garage Gossip, which is super exciting. So if you are like wanting to start a podcast, wanting to, do something fun, chat a little bit with me about Formula One, and also like have other people listen to that, apply. The form is linked in the description. So yeah. That being said, let's get started with today's episode because I have a lot to talk about. Alright, so Mexico. First things first, yes, I am wearing my Ollie Bearman shirt because that is literally the perfect shirt for today. I knew after yesterday that I was like, the shirt that I will be wearing for the episode tomorrow will be my Ollie Bearman shirt because that man, oh, I will talk about him later. I will talk about him because yeah. First things first, free practice. I think we should chat about free practice first. Only free practice 1 though, because FP2 I did not watch, FP3 I did watch, but I don't have like highlights from that I need to do, like discuss. For FP1, we did have 9 rookies running, and I just needed to chat about that, especially about the 2 very great comparisons that we got from the rookies on track, because there's still a few seats open for next season's like grid. Those seats, the first one is at Alpine, which that's a very interesting seat, I think. And it was very interesting to watch FP1 and to see that both Colapinto and Paul Aaron were both driving, so it was very interesting to compare them. I don't know out of my head who finished ahead of who, but I think Paul is going to do another one in Abu Dhabi as well, and that's also going to be in Franco's car. Is it? No, it's not. It's not going to be in Franco's car. It's going to be in Pierre's car. Oh yeah, no, that's exactly what I mean. It's also going to be in Pierre's car. So we'll get another comparison between Franco and Paul. And I think those are very interesting because, like I said, there's still that seat available at Alpine. And up until this point, I'm not convinced that Colapinto will get that seat. I am not convinced because he made that mistake in quali. I don't know if you know what mistake I'm talking about, but at some point he went over the bump, like over the curb in the first few corners. Yeah, you have like the first few corners. I don't remember which one it exactly was, and he went over the curb too much and he literally just like airborned himself and he went off track, causing him to be out in Q1, which Pierre was also in Q1, so probably the Alpine car was not really the best car for the Mexico City Grand Prix circuit, but still, had he not made that mistake, maybe he would have been higher up on the grid. We don't know. But they showed that on F1 TV, and they also showed Flavio Briatore after that, and that man was not happy. That man was not happy, and I don't personally, right now, I don't see Flavio Briatore giving the second seat at Alpine for next season to Franco Colapinto. I really don't see that happening. I don't know if it then will go to Paul Aaron or if they maybe will go back to Jack Doohan. I personally don't really care because I love both drivers. I love both Jack Doohan and I love Paul Aaron. I also love Colapinto, so if they decide to stick with that man, it's just Franco doesn't have good results. He still hasn't scored any points. I don't know how many races he's done this season, but he still hasn't scored any points. He's the only driver currently on the grid with 0 points. I don't see Flavio Briatore giving Franco Colapinto the second Alpine seat next season. That's just that. And then the second comparison that it's genius that happened. I don't know if they thought about it or not, but it's just there's also some seats available at Racing Bulls and one at Red Bull. And we got a great comparison of Isaac Hadjar, Yuki Tsunoda, and Ovid Limblad on track. Obviously, Isaac wasn't a different car than Yuki and Ovid, but still, it was very interesting to see those three drivers on track at the same time and just look at, the differences, similarities, stuff like that. It was just very interesting. And like I said, I don't know if they did it on purpose. If they did, smart move. If they didn't, still smart move. Yeah, it's just we kind of know that either Arvid, but probably Hadjar is going to get the second Red Bull seat. We don't know who is going to get the Racing Bull seats. That is still a battle between Yuki Tsunoda, Liam Lawson, and Ovid Limblad. I do think they're gonna put Ovid in there because Ovid has been doing really, really well in F2. I think he's still currently fighting for the title in F2. So yeah, I do see them putting Ovid in that Racing Ball seat. I just don't know if they're then gonna stick with Tsunoda or with Lawson. I do see them sticking with Lawson more than Tsunoda. Like, I see Yuki maybe going to Aston Martin because obviously Toyota is moving to Aston Martin and Yuki really actually is a Toyota driver, not a Red Bull driver. So yeah. But, it's interesting to get the comparison on track, like, of all those drivers. To just see, like, yeah. Those are really, like, the rookies that I've driven in FP1 that I just wanted to chat about. Obviously, the other rookies, very fun to watch, but nothing really interesting because the seats at the teams that they represented are already filled in or they have a place somewhere else. So, yeah. It's just they have to do that. All the teams have to do the mandatory, like, rookie runnings. So yeah, I mean, for some teams it's beneficial to have them. Like I said, Alpine, Red Bull, Racing Bulls. For them, it's very beneficial to have them because you can really see, is that driver better than the driver that I currently have in a free practice session? Because obviously, it's still going to be different in a free practice session than in a race or a qualifying session. Like, you can't really get a good read on the driver's abilities, but still, it is something. You know what I mean? It's something, and obviously, teams will do other tests. They will do other tests with, the many drivers that they have available to them. But, it's just fun that we get to watch those free practice sessions as well, right? Yeah. Okay. Enough said about free practice. Let's move on to quali. I have a little written down about quali. First things first. It was so interesting, and I knew this from going to free practice 3 to quali. I knew this already because in FP3 it was really, like, noticeable. But the little pace that Piastri had compared to the, like, much pace that Lando had, it was so interesting because how it's the same car with the same specifications because McLaren is not developing their car anymore. The only team I think that is still actively developing their car is Red Bull. McLaren is not. How is it that the same exact car, I feel like an Italian with my hands like this, how is it that the same exact car, just a different driver, has so much speed compared to so little speed? I really don't get that. Maybe it's the gearbox, I don't know, because obviously Lando switched gearboxes after Zandvoort, but I don't know. I can't wrap my head around the fact that Lando had so much speed and Oscar so little. Yeah, it was really, really interesting to watch that dynamic and to see where Oscar would end up. And I think finishing in, what is it, P8, P7, P8, was it P8? Yeah, it was P8, and then he started the race in P7 because Sainz got a penalty. I think that's the best he could have done, honestly. Like, honestly, from the pace that I've seen in FP3, I think P8 was the best that he could have done. It could have been way worse. He could have been in, like, what is it, P12, P13, P19. I don't know. It could have been much worse. So the fact that he still, got to Q3 is actually very impressive. Yeah. Yeah. What was also very impressive was the speed of the freaking Ferraris. Hello? Hello? Where the hell did they, where did they look for that? Where did they find that speed? Where did it come from? Because for all I know, Ferrari is not really developing that car anymore for this season. Their focus is on next season. As they should. As they should. Because they're not fighting for the championship anymore. That driver's not not a candidate anymore for the championship. Where did that speed come from, though? Where did that come from? Yeah. Yeah. I loved it. I loved it. As a McLaren girlie, I loved seeing that, okay? Lando was so far ahead that I knew he would be fine. Yeah, yeah. 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 Like, and the Ferrari fans out there, like, y'all deserve that little bit of happiness. Yeah. Because their race, it was, for the Charles girlies, pretty good. The Lewis girlies, probably not that happy. But y'all deserve that great result in quali. Like, y'all deserve that. Y'all have been through too much this season already that to deserve not a great quali. You know what I mean? Yeah. And just quickly a shout out to Lando for that lap, because what the hell was that lap? I've written it down how much it was. It was a 1:15.586. On 1:15.586. Let me look up what the circuit, like the lap record was going into the weekend. I always have the lap record on my track Thursdays. The fastest lap time was set by Valtteri Bottas in 2024 and is a 1:17.774. A 1:17.774 was the quickest that we've had, and I don't know if that's quali base or race base. This time, for Lando in quali, a 1:15.586. Yeah. 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 Insane. Insane. That man, yeah. He really had the best weekend. The best weekend. Yeah. Okay. And then, moving on to that fun Grand Prix that we had. I honestly, like I said, I think it's one of the most fun Grand Prix that we've had this whole season. It was so nerve-wracking the whole way through, and that just made it so much fun. Like, it was so much fun. I watched the first half of it without commentary because I was watching something else with my mom at the same time, and then the second half I watched with commentary, but it was just, yeah, even without the commentary it was so fun. Like, it started all with like the chaos in lap 1. We knew that was gonna be chaotic first lap because that is just Mexico. Okay, it's always like that. So we knew kind of what to expect. Did I think Lando would keep the lead going like into turn 1? No. No, I did not. To be honest. I actually thought that one of the Ferraris would take over his lead going into lap 1, like into turn 1. And that did not happen, and I was astonished by that. And then all the kerfuffle with like Hamilton, Verstappen, Ollie, all that stuff happened, and I was like, guys, slow down, I cannot follow anymore. And then a few laps later, again, Hamilton, Verstappen, Ollie, George, they were all there. They were all there. And it was just like, yeah, it was so much fun. Like, we always, like, normally for a normal Grand Prix, I think we always have, like, the first, like, 10-ish laps are always very action-packed and very fun. And then it slows down. And then we have pit stops. And then it slows down again. And then we have the end of the race, like the last 5-10-ish laps. Those are like the fun points. And then between those, it's like a slump. No slump. No slump. It was just so much fun the whole way through. Like I said, it started with like chaos on lap 1. Then we had the Hamilton, Verstappen, Ollie Bearman, George Russell kerfuffle, resulting in a Hamilton penalty, which that's just in the rules. If you go off track and you gain an advantage, you either give back the position like Charles Leclerc did in lap 1 with Lando, or you get a penalty. And Lewis got a penalty, and he deserved that penalty. And that's all I'm going to say about that. Because my dad said that Verstappen also deserved a penalty, but I don't know. I'm not going to say anything about that, you know. And then obviously, like, Lewis has a penalty. Ollie was in P4, and I was like, hold up. Technically, Ollie's currently in P3. And I got hopeful. I got so darn hopeful. The moment Hamilton pitted and Ollie went up to P3 in the timing, I had tears in my eyes. I had literal tears in my eyes. Yeah, I really was so hopeful for an Ollie podium, and still P4 for that man is insane. Freaking insane. And I feel a podium is so close by. I'm actually saying maybe next weekend up, like maybe next up in Brazil, because he knows the circuit. He's been there last season. He drove there for an actual race last season because he did the race in the place of Kevin Magnussen, because I think Kevin was sick last season. So maybe. You never know what's going to happen in Brazil. Honestly, you never know what's going to happen in Brazil. But yeah, still before. I'm actually still like so. I'm still processing and everything. Like I don't know how that man is currently feeling. He must also still be processing what the hell he did, because that. And I'm so happy that his dad is always there. His dad is always, for every race, his dad is there. And I love David Bearman. I love him. It was so nice seeing him so happy when Ollie overtook a car. And just that as well. The fact that Ollie started to race in P9 and he got all the way up to P4. Yeah. Deserved driver of the day. Deserved. Because sometimes you have the driver of the day and it's like, why are you driver of the day? This time it was deserved. This time Ollie was the actual driver of the day. Because what the helly. What else? I think after then, like, Hamilton penalty situation, we had a lot of pit stops, I think. And then we had sassy George Russell. And I live for sassy George Russell. His radios this week, so fun. So fun. I mean, George Russell is the radio of the week for a reason. Because the sass that that man carries while driving a Formula 1 car, Piastri, behind him, trying to pass him, while he is, trying not to let Piastri pass, while also making sure that he doesn't drive into Kimi. I live for sassy George Russell. Literally, I love sassy George Russell. Yeah, I need more sassy George Russell. And then in the end, we also had the Charles versus Max. Because how the hell did Max get there? Honestly, one stopper for Red Bull was a genius strategy. All the other teams, except for Lando and Charles, had to do a two-stopper. I don't know how it was with like the lower part of the timing page, but you know, the upper part all had to do with two stop. Lando obviously didn't, because he had a lot of like, he had a pretty big gap. He could chillax. Charles was chilling, and then he had Max Verstappen in his mirrors, and then I don't think he was relaxing that much. And then we had the virtual safety car, but like the same with Ollie and Oscar. Ollie was fighting George first, making sure that George couldn't get past him. Then they pitted, and then it was Oscar behind him trying to pass him, and I was so scared because I'm a Lando fan and an Ollie fan. I wanted Ollie in P4, and I also wanted Lando to lead the championship. So I did not want Piastri in P4, because if Piastri got up to P4, he would still be leading the championship. So I was like, come on, Ollie, come on, Ollie, come on, Ollie. The whole, I think, the last 5 laps, I'm sitting here, come on, Ollie, keep it, keep it, keep it. You can do it. Come on, Ollie, come on, Ollie, come on. The whole time. Because I wanted Ollie in P4, and I wanted Piastri in P5. I did not want him up in P4 or higher. Yeah, and like I said, next we had the VSC, which, in my opinion, and I think in a lot of people's opinion, it wasn't really necessary. Like, I would have loved to see the actual fight between Charles and Max, and between Ollie and Oscar, because apparently Ollie was saving his battery all the way for the last 2 laps, to then apply his battery and, you know, fight Oscar. We didn't get to see that, which is pretty sad. Also, like, a Charles v Max fight is always very fun, very interesting, and we didn't really get to see that because of the VSC, and the VSC wasn't even necessary. Like, Carlos's car was parked literally all the way where the marshals would have put it if he wasn't parked there by himself already. So I honestly don't get why we had the VSC. Yeah, that. And then talking about marshals, and I feel like I have to put this in here. All the way at the beginning of the race, because Liam Lawson DNF'd pretty early in the race, but this thing is about Liam Lawson. I think lap maybe 2 or 3, maybe 4. At some point he was on his own driving, cruising on the road, and there was some debris on the, you have the first turn, the first corner, and then you have the grass over there that Max Verstappen ran across. Other drivers, I think, also ran across. We had some debris there on the grass and on the runoff area, and I think the marshals didn't want any cars like risking it, that any car would like get a puncture driving over it or anything like that. So they ran across the track to go and retrieve the debris, to then again run across the track again to where they needed to be, where they needed to be stationed. I think they ran across it first when there was no car in sight, but when they ran back, Liam Lawson was there. And honestly, it's so dangerous. Also, there wasn't even for that is a reason that you could deploy a virtual safety car for. There's literal people on the track. You could apply a virtual safety car for that. There was only a yellow flag. That's so dangerous, and that is, compared to the VSC at the end, I don't get the reason why we didn't have a VSC at the beginning of the race, but why we did have one at the end of the race. I don't get the thought process behind both of these events. Yeah. And then something general that I just wanted to talk about. First things first, Mr. Lando Norris. P1, not only in the race, but currently also in the championship. There's only just 1 point between him and Oscar, but still, P1 is something. If Oscar and Lando and Max don't score any points anymore, and it finishes like this, Lando's still world champion, with 1 point between him and Piastri. I don't want that to happen. I mean, I do want Lando to be world champion, but I don't want it to like them not get any points anymore. You get what I mean. Yeah. Max is in P3 still, and I think there's 40 points between him and Piastri right now, which, yeah, Max is closing in. Max is closing in, and then think about the fact that Red Bull is still developing their car. They are still developing their car, while McLaren is just like, hopefully we keep it. Otherwise, we're a little bit fucked. Because McLaren is not developing their car this season anymore. Like, they're not developing this season's car. They're full focus on next season, which I understand. I fully understand. I, at this point, didn't expect any. Honestly, I didn't expect any teams to still be developing this season's car, but apparently Red Bull is. So, yeah. Yeah. Then, the booing by the fans. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. But honestly, I don't think if you are a person that's going to be booing any F1 driver, you should not be at a Grand Prix. You should not be at a Grand Prix. It doesn't matter the reason that you're gonna be booing him, you should not be at a Grand Prix. Lando was booed, apparently for the fact that he made Oscar give up the place in Monza. That was the sole reason that Lando was booed while doing his post-race interview, while being on the podium. And I don't think that is okay. It made me so sad. I was sitting here and it literally broke my heart. At first I thought they were cheering him, and then I was like, no, that's not cheering, that's actually booing. And I was like, what? What? I'm sorry, Lando hasn't done anything wrong. Yeah. It is disrespectful as so yeah. I really don't think people that are going to be booing drivers deserve tickets to a Grand Prix. Yeah. And then one last thing about F1. It's not really Mexico related, but it recently came to the light that there's two teams that have apparently breached the cost cap in the 2024 season. The first one being Aston Martin, but since that breach wasn't that big, there's no like repercussions for them. The second team apparently is McLaren. So that may lead to them being disqualified from the 2024 season, which means that their championship title, like the Constructors' Championship from last season, might go to Ferrari if their like breach of the cost cap is significant. Yeah. So it may as well it can just happen that we get a break-in notification on our phones, whatever, saying that McLaren is disqualified from the 2024 F1 season, and then Ferrari is Constructors' Champion of 2024. Yeah, it may as well happen, but fingers crossed it doesn't. Yeah. And then really quickly, before we end this episode, I did want to give y'all a little bit of feeder series content. Even though they haven't been driving a lot, actually at all. F1 Academy is back again in Las Vegas, like I said. So not the upcoming race, but the race after that. And F2 is only back in Qatar. So we have to wait a while for F2. But in the meantime, the people at F2 have not been sitting and waiting patiently. No. They've done a lot of signings for the 2026 season. There's currently 8 drivers confirmed for the upcoming F2 season of 2026, and I'm here to tell y'all those drivers. First things first, we have Big Bomboclat. If you understood that reference, I love you. We have Nikola Tsolov. If I'm mispronouncing these names, by the way, Don't shoot me. I'm very sorry. Nikola Tsolov, he will be going from F3 to F2, and he will be driving for Campos Racing. We have Kian Shields, who is also currently driving. He will be staying with AIX Racing, so he will just do another season in F2 with AIX Racing, so his current team as well. Then we have Martinius Stenchon. He has driven one race already with Trident, and I think he might do the last two races as well with Trident. He will be driving for Rodin Motorsport next season. Then we have a very exciting signing because we have Colton Herta, who is coming from IndyCar. Yeah, we have Colton Herta from IndyCar going to be racing with High-Tech TGR. Very excited for that. I'm very interested to see how he's going to perform next season. Then we have Noel Leon, who is also going to be racing for Campos Racing. I think he's also graduating from F3 to F2. Then we have Dino Beganovic, who is currently also on the grid. He will be switching teams, so he's leaving High-Tech TGR and he is going to Dams Lucas Oil. Then we have Joshua Dirksen, again a current driver. He is going to be racing for Invicta Racing next season, so a different team than the one that is racing for this season. And then last up we have Nicolas Varone, I think, and he will be racing for Van Amersfoort Racing. Yes, and I think that's it. Next up is the Brazil Grand Prix weekend. That is from the 7th of November till the 9th of November, which it's also a sprint weekend, so that's very exciting. But we do have to wait a little, like a week for that. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed this episode. Again, feel free to fill in the application form to be the co-host, the second host of Garage Gossip. And yeah, don't forget to like, subscribe, all that YouTube stuff that you guys know how to do, and the people that are listening. I don't know if you like an episode actually. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you'll be here again with me next week. You on YouTube, you will see me again next week. And you on Spotify, Apple Music, wherever you are listening to this right now, you will hear me again next week. Bye!